Hey guys, welcome back. It's Lucky here with another Dune Awakening video. In this one, we're going to go over 10 massive mistakes that you need to make sure you don't make. These tips are going to save you from wasting time, currency, and frustration. One of the things that you'll be doing a lot while you're playing through this game is following the journey. That's this game's main story, and you get these trials. The first trial, the second trial, the third, fourth, and fifth, and so on as you're playing through the game. Now, two things are going to happen. It's going to tell you view trial location, where you can try to suss out the location by looking at this map, and then also looking at this map and trying to line up the geography of the drawing with the map. But you know what's a lot easier to do is to use your survey probe launcher in that zone, shoot a probe into the air. Then when you look at the map, you'll see this right here. You'll see a purple cave. This is purple because it is part of your main story journey. So you'll know that this is one of your trial locations. And just in case you're curious, the first trial location is here. The second trial location is here, third trial location is here, the fourth trial location is here, and the fifth trial location is here. So that'll get you through the first 5 real quick there. Hopefully save you some time looking for those. Another huge mistake to try to avoid making is don't forget to trying to unlock as many of these skill lines as early as possible, because they have some fantastic passives tucked into these that you don't have to slot to use. So you've got like these octagonal shaped ones here. These are passives that you have to slot, like this bad boy right here. You drag it on, you slot it, now it's equipped. Then you have these passives here that are just round, little round circles. You can have as many of these unlocked and running at the same time as you would like, or as you can unlock. So I highly recommend diving into the multiple different skill trees. One of the best approaches for doing this is to start as a class that is unlocked deeper into the game, like Mentat, Swordmaster, or Bene Gesserit. And then when you get into the game, you'll be able to unlock the Trooper skill line right away inside of the Griffin's Reach trade post right here. You just come here. It's in the very first zone. The trainer's in there. You talk to him. He'll have you do a quest where he asks you to go around and assassinate some people. You come back, and it's not a hard quest. It's just got a bit of running involved, and you have the Trooper unlocked right away if you want it, which I highly recommend because it's an incredibly useful class to have unlocked. So do it sooner than later. It's got fantastic damage and mobility for you to use while you explore the entire game. So if you created your character using one of the 3 classes that you unlock later, you come to Griffin's Reach, you'll unlock Trooper, then you come here to Chimera's Camp. It's just above Imperial Testing Station number 2. You'll come here, go to the Chimera's Camp way up on top of this hill, and then talk to the guy, pick up the quest. He'll have you go inside of Imperial Testing Station number 2, grab some stuff, come back, turn it in, and that is going to unlock your Planetologist skill line, which also has some absolutely amazing passives here. Things that are going to make it so that your water yields are better, which makes managing your water resource a lot easier. You've got this climbing passive, Mountaineer, which is going to reduce the stamina drain while climbing, which is huge because you're going to be doing a ton of that in this game. All kinds of really useful ones like that. This one right here, Vehicle Repair, reduces the max durability loss on your vehicle. So just huge, really, really big passives in here that you can unlock. So if you've chosen Bene Gesserit, Swordmaster, or Mentat as your starting class, now you'll have those passives, you'll have the Troopers passives, you'll have the Planetologist passives before you even leave the first zone, right? So you're starting out really strong that way. If you already started and you didn't take that route, that's okay. You can always come back here and pick up the Trooper or the Planetologist real easy if you missed it. No problem. While you're avoiding these red circles here, the drum sand that attracts the worm faster. Also make sure you avoid the quicksand. That's these circles with the line through it. This, if you drive onto it, you will come to an almost immediate stop and you'll start sinking, and it will kill you very fast if you're not really careful. So I wouldn't try to drive between these. I would have tried to avoid it at all costs. You know, take the wide route around. It is not worth getting sucked into one of these things and losing your stuff. Now, this next tip is a huge one, but first, let me ask you a question. Do you have a solid gaming setup, but you find you're underperforming in the games you play? Maybe your DPS is low, or maybe your aim is off. There's a chance the problem isn't you, but instead your internet connection. A good internet connection can be the difference between winning a fight and losing one, being at the top of the DPS chart, or being at the bottom of one. You might be considering drastic and expensive measures like replacing your gaming setup or changing your IP. But I have another solution that you can try first for completely free. Exit Lag features AI route optimization, a dynamic stabilizer, and a diagnostic center that will work together to give you the best connection possible to more than
than 2,000 games. It's as easy as clicking the link in the description, creating your account, downloading and installing the software, and then it does the rest. Gone are the days of needing to be a tech expert to optimize your internet connection. Exit Lag makes it as simple as a couple of clicks. When you open Exit Lag, tell it what game you want to optimize your connection for and click apply. It's as easy as that. Exit Lag is now doing everything it can to protect your gameplay. The benefits are instant and it only takes 1 second to set up. Best of all, it's completely free to try thanks to its amazing 3-day free trial. So if you're not satisfied with the results, you haven't lost anything by trying. And if you find you're enjoying it, they're offering a fantastic deal, 50% off of your first year. Find the full details in the description as well as a link to try it for free right now. Thanks for listening. Now let's get back to the video.
As you're playing through the game, you're going to see that the next tier of items, armor, crafting stations is going to require the next tier of metal. So you'll be able to get copper right here. You'll be able to get iron ingots right here. And you'll be able to get carbon for your steel in this zone here. And that should get you through the first 35, 40 levels or so. The way that uniques work in this game is you'll be out and about and you'll find a purple crafting recipe like this one right here. It says that it is a unique pair of soft step boots. However, when you learn it, it's going to tell you you have been given 1 permit for this item. And if we look here at our research and we go over to uniques, you can see that this one has a 0. I have 0 permits left. That means I cannot create this item again until I find another unique blueprint for it. So just because you find a unique blueprint doesn't mean you can all of a sudden create as many of those items for you and your friends as you want. No, you're going to need to find 2 of them if you want to create 2 of those items and so on. So here it tells you how many of each you can still craft in the bottom right corner. So that's what that number means. And that's how uniques will work in this game. They're all going to require some spice infused iron dust. So when you find that stuff and you're trying to decide what to drop because you're full out in the wild, never drop your spice infused iron dust. You want to hold on to that stuff. You want to carry it. And here's what it looks like. Okay. Spice infused copper dust. You want lots of that stuff. Anytime it's spice infused, really anything spice in this game is probably worth holding on to. When it comes to finding some of the best loot in this game, well, the things you're going to want to look for are going to be the shipwrecks are definitely a substantial source of great materials, but really you can't beat Imperial testing stations. These things, these underground stations that you can kind of find your way into and then explore the caverns. They're the biggest caves, the biggest dungeons in this game so far. And it'll take probably 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how fast you're cruising through them and which one you're in, to fully clear one of these things. And then at the end of them is a massive chest. You can always tell which one it is when you see it because it looks cooler than any other chest. So you'll find one of these and loot it. And that's where you're going to find those unique blueprints and as well as some other very valuable crafting materials. So when you're trying to decide where to go next for materials and supplies and maybe to find some uniques, you can't beat these labs, these underground labs, these testing stations. Very good source of stuff. Now, another one that is going to be great for collecting these materials is going to be the PvP zones. Now, in the first zone, there's no PvP, and then you'll make your way up to the next one here, the Vermilius Gap. And this is all PvE except right here, this wreck of the palace, right? This is a ship. And when you walk up to it, it'll flash on the top of your screen saying, hey, you're entering a PvP zone. And in here, there is a little puzzle that you have to solve and some doors you have to get through and a very nice couple of chests at the end that have some fantastic rewards, including unique crafting recipes and so on. So when you want to venture in there to grab some loot, the thing I recommend is just, be careful about what you take in there with you. Only take what you're willing to lose and have fun, right? But there is some good loot in there, but it does require PvP. The next thing that will save you a mass amount of time is using your survey probe launcher. You're going to use this only once in each zone, but that one time that you use it is massive. So your map, well, basically it'll look like this, right? It'll be a fog of war over it. You'll pop that into the air. And when you do, it's going to turn that into this. You'll not only remove the fog of war, but you'll also see all of the locations on the map that you could possibly go to and hunt down. And not only that, it tells you what's inside. This one has micro sandwich fabric, an EMF generator. This one here has plasteel, microflora fiber, and so on. Lots of valuable information for just taking 30 seconds to climb up really high somewhere and then launch this probe launcher into the air. So you're going to need one of these survey probe launchers and one survey probe, both of which you can craft at your fabricator right here. And then just launch one when you're in this zone. And then as soon as you get into the next zone, go to the middle of it somewhere, boom, launch it up high, and that'll reveal, boom, this whole area. And you'll have all these symbols. You know exactly where you need to go do everything. Very, very useful, a massive time saver. The next one that you're going to want to know, especially if you're playing with friends or if you're making friends in game, is you can hold F on a lot of things in this game to manage access to that item, among other things. So for instance, this chest right here, if we hold F, we can manage who can access it. So if it's your base and you have other people coming in your base, you're sharing it, you're the guild leader or a leader of a guild or friends with someone that is, they need to know that you can change who can access it. So if you take it up to the top level, only the owner can access it, or people given the role of owner, because you can give the role of owner to multiple people inside of a subfief, or AKA inside of your base, right? You can have 2 owners, you can have 3, you can share it with whoever you want, but you also have the role of co-owner, associate, guild, public, right? And this way, just because you're trusting someone enough to let them into your base doesn't necessarily mean you trust them enough to have access to all your most valuable blueprints and materials, right? So this is very, very handy. And the way that you assign roles to people is you go to your subfief, click F, right? Hold F, then go to permissions. And here you can type character names or funcom IDs or, search from your friends list, whatever. And then here you can click this arrow, right? This guy's an associate right now. I can upgrade him to a co-owner. I can downgrade him to an associate. If I'm in a guild, I can choose to make him a guild member, whatever. Lots of stuff that you can do there. So very handy. The same thing goes for your vehicle. You hold F while looking at your vehicle. You can decide who can jump on the back seat or who can jump into the passenger seat. That way, not just any old soul is jumping in there with you at any time. Another important one with managing your subfief is when you give someone access to your base as an associate and beyond, that's what allows the doors to open for them. Otherwise, they'll come up to the door and it just won't open for them. So really important to give people the right access level and the right level of permissions with your base. Another big one to be aware of is that you can repair your vehicle. You can repair your gear. If we hover over our gear here, you can see this yellow line and a red line. The yellow line is the durability and the red line is the piece of the gear that can no longer be repaired. So this one right here, it is about 60% of its durability left, and then it's got 40% that can be repaired. There's no red, which means there's no part of this that can never be repaired again yet. But eventually, if you repair it enough times, you accrue some of this red, which forces you to eventually just make a brand new one when that red starts to take up 90% of the bar, 80% of the bar, and it's just not worth running that depleted item anymore. As you can see, some of my gear's pretty beat up in that way here. Now, one way that you can counteract this, for instance, when it comes to repairing your vehicle has the same problem where if you repair it too often, it gets these red bars, but you can counteract that by going to your skills, going to planetologist and getting vehicle repair. This is going to reduce max durability loss by 20%. So those items are taking less durability damage when you're repairing your vehicle, which means they're going to last longer, which is great. That's less time you have to spend farming and refarming those materials for that vehicle. Another really important one is, in any game, it's very important that you don't look hideous.
He's hideous!
And well, one way that you can customize your character is go to this customization tab right here, click on your armor, and you can change the color swatches. Right now I have 2, and as you play the game, you'll unlock more. And then, I'm guessing they'll eventually sell even more still so that you can customize the look of your character here. So you can go between blue and orange and so on. Now, when you dive into this game, you might start playing and then maybe you're like, man, I don't know, am I doing a good build? Is this build the right build for me? Or maybe you just decide, I don't like this build that I'm playing at all. Well, hey, good news. If you don't like your build, then you can follow my build guide, which I've tried, tested, and proven worthy here. And even if you don't like your build, it's easy to fix. You can come in here and you can respec. This game does offer respecs. So you click respec and it's just going to warn you. You can only do this once every 48 hours, but you can do it. So respecing is not a problem. You can do it every 2 days. No big deal. And if you want to, you could hop over to my build guide and have a fantastic build ready to go. I'll have that video linked down in the description for you guys, as well as my beginner guide, which I highly recommend. On the topic of changing how you look, another important one is you can press A right here, boop, press it twice. It's going to bring up this menu right here. And this will allow you to hide your blue eyes once you've consumed spice. Maybe you don't like that look for your character. It's a little bit creepy, whatever. You can turn that off. And then same for your helmet. Maybe you're wearing a helmet that you think is perhaps the wrong aura, right? It's just not the right vibe that you want to project when you walk up to people. You can turn that off if you spent an hour on your character's face and now you can't see it. Now you can. There you go. Another big mistake to avoid making, this is one of the basics, but one of the big ones. And if you're just starting the game, it's an easy one to be unaware of. Whenever you're traveling between rocks, always take the shortest distance. For example, up here, if I want to go from here to here, you better not go like this, because that trying to do that, and I know this because I tried, you will die. The worm will get you if you're on the sand for that duration of time. What you would instead want to do is either come up here, stay on these rocks, and then make this short gap here, this short gap here, right? You're limiting the time you're spending in the open sand to drastically increase your chance of surviving. So same, you would come from here to here, right? Or to here to here. So short runs, wherever possible, you want to try to avoid kitty cornering or, crossing at diagonals that are going to lengthen the amount of time you're spending on the open sand. That's how the worm will get you. And if the worm gets you, you lose everything on you, all of your items on your Hot Wheel, all your gear, all your stuff in your inventory. It is painful, so try to avoid it. Another one that's really important and kind of easy to forget in the chaos and the fun of everything is check on your fuel power generator often, right? If this thing ever runs out of fuel cells, this will go to 0. The shield that's protecting your base will disappear, and then a sandstorm will come by and disappear it. It'll basically delete it, right? It's going to damage it, tear down your base, and that's something that's really demoralizing, and you want to avoid it at all costs. But fortunately, you can see I've found loads of fuel cells in my first 40 hours, 30 hours of the game. I have way more than I need. In fact, I've got 19 days of protection on this base right now. So it's not something you have to look at every hour or even every day or even every week once you've got it full. But it is something you just have to keep an eye on to make sure that it doesn't go empty on you and you lose it all. That would be painful. Another big one to be aware of is that you can collect dew from plants to put into a bottle or to extract and then take back to your base for crafting. And this one's important, but the thing to know about this is it only works at night. So if you pull out your dew reaper and you walk over these plants, in the bottom right, you'll see my little canister filling with water. Now, that is really important. This is an essential part of this game when it comes to playing efficiently, because without that water bottle and filling it up every night when you're out and about, you're going to be a slave to coming back to your base, grabbing water, or stopping at these to grab a drink. So anytime you can, you want to try to fill your liter gun, as this game calls it, or your water bottle, and getting that full of water so that you can stay out and about without having to babysit your hydration meter the whole time. Now, while you're playing the game, you're going to notice these red spots all over the map, and you might be wondering, hey, what the heck is that? Basically, if you drive over these spots, it's dangerous. These are spots where you are absolutely attracting the attention of the worm, and you're doing it even faster than normal. And so it's advised to drive around them if possible. However, I have driven over it a number of times in this region here and been just fine, right? It does wake up the worm faster, it seems like, but the worm comes up, pops his head up, and then I'm gone. But if I was doing a long trip like this one, I wouldn't want to cross it because I'm alerting it to my attention. I still have a long way to get to the other side. So these are okay to drive over if you want, but then, try to avoid it, especially in later zones, because in each subsequent area, as you get higher and farther into the game, the worms get more dangerous, more aggressive, and more punishing. So, things you can get away with down here, you will not get away with here, and so on. Another mistake to avoid making is forgetting to do the contracts in this game. Contracts are going to be these optional side quests you can collect from a contract board, and these are going to give you loads of rewards. So if we look at our contracts that we've done here, you can see like this one right here, it's going to give me 350 XP, 3,000 Solaris. That's the currency you can spend at merchants in this game. It's going to give me sand bike parts, a Sims cutter, and scavenger light armor set variant. So tons of great stuff coming from this. Loads of currency, XP, everything. So those are very, very worthwhile, very worth doing. And these quests, these optional side quests, are not only going to give you those rewards, but they're also going to unlock skill trees in this game. So in order to unlock this skill tree, if you didn't choose it as your starting class, you're going to have to find the Swordmaster trainer and do his quest when you find him. So anytime you see one of those quests, it is probably worth doing, especially if he is a trainer. It's what's going to allow you to dip into these other trees beyond the one that you started with. Now, on the topic of water, and just circling back to that we talked about earlier, one of the things you want to do, if possible, is collect the water from the plants outside when you're in your base, as opposed to just using the water from your blood purifier. Now, mine is full here because I've come back here with a lot of blood a lot of times, and so I've got a few of these suckers full of water. And the reason I try to avoid using it is because if we look here at the ore crafting, you'll notice iron ingots require water to craft. So be smart about your water usage and it'll save you a lot of time collecting water over and over. Eventually you'll get to a point where I am and you have way more water than you need. And at that point, do what you want, but it takes a while to get there. So, just be aware of the fact that you are going to need water to make the advanced metals. So start saving it up when you can. Last but definitely not least, this one's going to save you a lot of time. You're going to be making tons and tons of trips back to your base while you're playing this game. And a big time saver, once you've got these storage containers going, you can tap F to quick deposit, and it's going to put any matching items in there that it has, right? If it's not full, if there's matching items, boom, it'll start slapping them in the corresponding chest so that you don't have to micromanage what's in what chest. Now, this isn't too big of a deal other than for the fact that it stacks and when they have a very limited number of spaces. And so it's important to get the same item in the same storage just because otherwise you're wasting these valuable spaces that each one has. They do have a finite amount of, see this weight volume. So I'm at 189 out of the max here. So it's almost full anyway. So it is possible to have a storage chest with a blank spot that can't put anything there because the volume's maxed out, right? Two different ways to fill it, either the spots or the volume, whichever comes first. Unfortunately, when you're crafting, it pulls from storage. So you don't have to remember which chest has which material. You just have to drop it on there and then you can come over here and craft anything you want and it will automatically pull it from any of the chests in your base. All right, guys, that is everything. If you have a tip that you found incredibly useful that I didn't mention, please mention it down in the comments below and be sure to check out the comments. Sometimes the best tips come from you guys. So thanks so much for sharing if you decide to do that. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe for more Dune content. I'm going to be making loads of it. I've got a beginner guide that should be out already and a build guide that should be out. If not, it's coming out right after this video, depending on what order I release these in here. So definitely subscribe for more. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Massive shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you for becoming a member of the channel and helping me make this content. If you want to become a member, click the join button below after hitting the subscribe button and you'll get access to behind the scenes footage, a private Discord channel, and more. Thanks so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next one. If you're not sure what to do next, check out the video popping up on screen right now. Don't forget to subscribe.